The night sky above planet Harken was calm and quiet. 2 moons were shining in the sky. The cold wind moved across the Rocky Mountains. Small alien animals ran across the surface. All was peaceful until something strange happened. A light appeared. In the sky, it was fast, very fast. A long tail of fire followed it. The people of Harken looked up in fear. Some thought it was a meteor. Others believed it was a weapon. The object crashed into the forest near the capital. A loud boom shook the land. Trees caught fire. Birds flew away screaming. The guards rushed to the crash site. Within minutes, the area was surrounded by armed soldiers. General Rokar stood in front of the glowing pod. He was tall, with blue armor and sharp red eyes. He had led the Harken Defense Army for 20 years. Nothing surprised him until now. The pod was shaped like a small escape ship, but its surface was black, made from a material they couldn't identify. No door, no control system, no power source. It was silent and cold. But suddenly, with a hiss, the front of the pod opened. Smoke poured out, and from inside, a human stepped out. The alien soldiers pointed their weapons. Some stepped back. None had seen a human in real life. Only in old war records. The man looked calm. He had no armor, no gun, no helmet. Just a black jacket and boots. He looked around slowly, like he was not afraid of anything. Rokar stepped forward and asked, "Identify yourself. Who are you?" The man smiled slightly. "My name doesn't matter," he said. "I came to give you a warning." Rokar narrowed his eyes. "Where are your weapons?" The man pointed to his chest. Written in white letters on his jacket were the words, "Turn back, or watch your world burn." The soldiers stared at the words. Some laughed. One of them said, "Is this a joke? He has no weapons, just words." But Rokar didn't laugh. Something about this man was strange. He felt off. The human didn't move, didn't blink. His heartbeat was slow, too slow. The medic scanner showed readings, but they made no sense. "Take him in," Rokar ordered. "We'll find out what he really is." Inside the fortress, the human was taken to Harken Prime, an underground alien base deep below the capital. Built with black stone and steel, the fortress was protected with the best security systems in the galaxy. No enemy had ever escaped from it. The man was put in a high-level observation room. Walls were energy-sealed. Cameras watched from every angle. A team of scientists scanned him, but nothing worked. Their machines couldn't scan his blood. His DNA changed every second. His brain waves moved like music, not in a pattern, but in rhythm. The lead scientist, Zelva, said in fear, "He's not just human. He's something else now." The first interview, General Rokar, entered the room. His eyes were serious. He sat in front of the man. "We found no weapons. No ID, no ship. Data. What are you really?" The man looked at him calmly. "I gave you a chance," he said again. "You saw the message." Rokar's tone became angry. "What does the message mean?" The man leaned forward. "It means you still have time, but not much." Rokar stood up, frustrated. "We are the rulers of this world. We do not fear." Empty words. The man said nothing. That night, in the observation center, a young alien officer named Velos was watching the video feed. He noticed something strange. In every camera feed, the man looked normal except in one. In that one, his reflection was missing. The mirror behind him showed nothing. Velos rubbed his eyes. Maybe it was a glitch. He rewound the feed. Same result. The man had no reflection. He whispered to himself, "What are you?" Velos reported it to the scientist, but Zelva dismissed him. "Check the camera, not the man." But Velos couldn't. Sleep that night. Midnight alarm suddenly. At 2:47, alarms rang through the base. Security breach. Section 7. Power failure. Guards rushed in. The cameras in that section were down. Only static was showing. Motion sensors failed. One soldier was missing. Only his helmet was found. Melted. Rokar was called. He arrived with full gear. Where is he? Rokar shouted. No one knew. Then a voice came from the central speaker system. Calm, cold, human. You should have listened. It was the same man. But his mouth never moved. Investigation rock stormed into the observation room. The human was still sitting calmly in the same position. Eyes closed. How did you speak in the comms? The man slowly opened his eyes. I didn't. Rokar grabbed his collar. What did you do with my soldier? The man only said, first. Warning, Rokar shouted to the guards. Lock him in Core 0. No contact, no sound. Full containment. But deep down, he felt something was already too late. The council meets the next day. The Harken Council met. The top leaders of the planet sat in a circular chamber. We must destroy him, shouted one. He's just a man, said another. Zelva presented her findings. He is not normal. His body changes with every scan. He does not sleep. He does not breathe the same way we do. Is he a weapon? Someone asked. No, Zelva replied. I believe he is the warning. The room went silent. A hidden message that evening. Velos was going through old Earth War records. One document from 800 years ago had a code, Project L-E-X. It described an experiment, a human designed to adapt, evolve, and survive any environment. Not to fight, but to warn alien civilizations. He was called the Final Message. The file ended with a note. If he arrives, don't attack. Don't study, just run. Velas's hands shook. He tried to share the file, but it started deleting itself. Auto-wipe activated. Someone doesn't want this known. He whispered. Cliffhanger later that night. One more camera activated. In the center of the dark cell. The human was standing. He looked directly into the camera, as if he knew someone was watching. He didn't smile. He simply pointed to the wall where the words began to glow in red. Turn back, or watch your world burn. Then the lights flickered and the feed cut to black. Opening scene. Morning after the breach. The sun rose over planet Harken, but it did not bring peace. It brought fear. The night had been long. One soldier was still missing. Power systems had glitched. Cameras failed. A human unarmed, silent. Strange was locked underground in Core 0. General Rokar stood in the command tower. His fists were tight. His mind was racing. This isn't possible, he said to Commander Felon. No weapon. No escape. But still, one of our own is gone. Felon nodded slowly. The cameras caught nothing. But one voice came through the base network. His voice. But he didn't open his mouth. Rokar shouted. How is that even possible? Felon had no answers. Scene. Inside Core 0 deep underground, the man sat in total silence. No light, no sound. His hands rested on his knees. His eyes were closed. His breathing was slow. Monitors watched him, at least the ones that still worked. Technician Laro sat at his console, watching the feed. He whispered to himself, how can he be this calm? Then, without warning, the screen turned black. The signal was lost. Not again. Laro muttered and started rebooting the feed. When the screen came back, the man was staring straight at him, into the camera. No smile, just a stare. Laro stepped back, cold sweat on his face. Scene. Alien Council debate. That afternoon, the High Council gathered again. One member slammed the table. This is a trick. Earth has sent him as a spy. Another said, no, Earth is dead. We all saw the destruction. He's not from Earth, not anymore. Scientist Zelva stood and activated a hologram. The image showed the man's DNA. It kept changing shape. Every test fails, she said. Blood, skin, breath, nothing is stable. He's not human in the normal way. Then what is he? Asked Counselor Tarvin. Zelva replied, something created, something that adapts, not to attack, but to warn. Counselor Nrek laughed. We don't need warnings, we have weapons. Zelva looked at him. That's exactly what he's warning you about. Scene: Commander Velos investigates in the shadows of the fortress. Commander Velos walked fast through the archives. He had downloaded fragments of the old Earth files before they were deleted. The file said, Project Lex, Last Earth Experiment. He found a translation, one man, one message, created to be the final sign. If he appears, it means war has already arrived. Not by his hands, but by yours. Velos's heart raced. What if this human wasn't the danger, but something else? Was something coming? He tried to share the file again, but the system denied access. Someone above him had locked the information. This is being hidden, Velos said. Why? Scene: Second disappearance the same evening. Another alarm rang. Section 4 LA, BS. Security Brek Rokar rushed to the location. The lab was dark, no damage, just silence. The guards were missing. 3 of them. No sign of struggle, only one thing remained. A single word burned into the lab wall. Listen. Rokar clenched. His jaw. He's mocking us, but Zelva disagreed. No. This isn't a threat. It's a message. A final message. Rokar replied, I don't believe in ghost stories. And I don't trust riddles. He stormed out of the room. Scene: Inside the cell, again, that night, they sent a telepath to speak to the man. No voice, no wires, just mind-to-mind contact. Telepath. Yaren sat in the sealed booth and activated the link. Who are you? Yaren asked in thought. The man replied inside his mind, I am a memory you were supposed to forget. Yaren trembled. Why are you here? Because you're making the same mistake. Again. What mistake? The man opened his eyes. Thinking your weapons can stop what's already coming. Yaren screamed. He pulled off the device and collapsed. His nose bleeding. Row single quotes KAR came running. What happened? Yaren whispered. He showed me fire. Not from him. From the sky. It's coming. It's coming. Scene: A council divided. Counselor Nrek stood before the other leaders. He is controlling us with fear. We must show strength. We should execute him, Velos shouted. No! He hasn't attacked anyone. The soldiers vanished, yes, but there were no marks, no blood, no weapons used. What if he's trying to protect us from something worse? Counselor Tarvin added, Velos has a point. Earth used to warn other systems of old threats. Perhaps this human is not the threat, but a signal of one. Nrek growled. You're all cowards. Zelva stepped forward. And you're blind. The council could not agree. And the countdown had already begun. Seen strange signals detected in the skies of Harkon. Scientists found something strange signals from deep space. A frequency not heard for centuries. It wasn't a message. It was a pulse. Zelva decoded parts of it. The pattern matched a dead zone or region in space where multiple civilizations had disappeared. Long ago. Now the signal was heading toward Harkon. She whispered, It's not a message. It's a trigger. She reported it to Rokar. He replied, You're telling me this human is, what, a warning bell? Zelva nodded. Or a fire alarm. Scene: The general confronts the Monroe car, entered Core Zero, alone. The energy doors opened. He stood in front of the man. You think we're scared of you? The man stayed silent. Rokar took out his plasma blade. You think your words matter more than our weapons? The man raised his head slowly. You still don't understand, he said. I came unarmed. Because you already lost the real war. Rokar shouted, What war? The man stood up. Not all wars are fought with guns. Rokar activated his blade. Tell me what's coming. The man said one word, ashes. Seeing Council's final decision later that night, the Council gathered again. We must act now, Nrek demanded. He's dangerous, Velos argued. We're ignoring the truth. If we kill him, we may trigger something far worse. But the vote was made. 5 voted for execution. 3 against. The sentence was passed. Rokar was ordered to carry it out at sunrise. Scene. The night before execution, Velos ran to the labs. He pulled Zelva aside. We can't let this happen. I agree, she said. I think he's not the enemy. He's the signal. If we kill the signal, the threat arrives with no warning. They looked at each other. We need proof, Velos said. Zelva showed him the last frame from the space radar. A shape was approaching, massive, silent, and fast. Not a ship. A structure. No communication. No lights. Just death. Final scene. Countdown begins as the sun rose. The execution chamber was prepared. The man was led in. Still calm, still quiet. Rokar stood with the blade. Any last words? He asked. The man nodded. Too late, he whispered. Suddenly, every screen across Harkon turned black. A single number appeared. 24 o'clock. Oh, a voice, not human, not alien, spoke across the sky. Warning has been ignored. Evacuation is no longer possible. The man looked up. I told you to turn back. Opening scene. Chaos after the countdown. The number 24 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds flashed across every screen on HARKON. Then it started counting down. 23 hours 59 minutes and 59 seconds, 23 hours 59 minutes and 58 seconds, 23 hours 59 minutes and 57 seconds. Panic spread through the cities. Families locked their homes. Military bases were on full alert. Communication satellites failed one by one. Entire cities lost power. In the central chamber, General Rokar stood frozen, still holding the plasma blade. The man stood in chains, but smiled. You should have listened, he said. Rokar finally spoke. What is this countdown? What happens when it reaches 0? The man replied slowly. The silence ends. Scene. Emergency meeting of the council. The High Council gathered in the war room. Every voice spoke at once. Shut it down. Is it a virus? Where is the signal coming from? No one knew the answer. Zelva entered with a report. The source is not from the human. It's coming from orbit. From something above the planet. She showed a live radar feed. A huge shadow had entered Harkon's orbit. No engine signature. No radio signal. It was just there. It's not a ship, she whispered. It's a structure. The council chamber went cold. Scene. The first disappearance of Oz, now back in the security center, noticed a pattern. Guards near the human cell were losing communication. One by one, quietly. No gunfire. No signs of struggle. He checked the live feed. One camera blinked, then turned black. He switched to backup view. The hallway was empty. One guard's weapon lay on the floor, still humming. His helmet was cracked and empty. No blood. No body. Velos jumped up and called Rokar. We have a problem. Another disappearance. How many? Rokar asked. Velos swallowed. 5 in 10 minutes. Rokar stared at the timer. 23 hours 14 minutes and 5 seconds. Scene. The man speaks. They brought the man to the main interrogation chamber. No guards, only Rokar. Velos and Zelva. Rokar leaned forward. Tell us what is coming. Now. The man looked up. You already met it, he said. But you didn't notice. What does that mean? Velos asked. The man smiled. Your world is not dying because of me. It's dying because of what your people woke up. Zelva asked, what did we wake up? The man whispered one word. Echo. Scene. Flashback. Alien past. Zelva. Reviewed old data from Harkin's mining division. 4 months ago, deep in the outer zone, a team discovered something underground. A structure with no door, no windows, just black metal and strange energy. They tried to drill it. It pulsed once, then stopped. They moved on. 3 weeks later, workers started disappearing. No signs, no remains. The mining report was classified, that it was never reported to the council. She turned to Velos. This isn't new. It already started. Scene. Velos' Decision. Velos stood, alone in the observation deck. He watched the orbiting shadow above the planet. It's not an invasion, he said to himself. It's a reaction. He remembered the Earth file. Project Lex will appear 24 hours before mass extinction. If ignored, the system is considered hostile. He connected the dots. The human didn't bring war. The presence did, and the human was here to warn them. One last time. Scene. The council splits again. Velos rushed to the council. We need to stop treating him like the enemy. He's not the cause. He's the signal. Nrek snapped. You defend the very thing that killed our soldiers. Did you see him kill anyone? Velos shot back. Silence. He warned us, again and again. But we didn't listen. Now the countdown runs, and people are disappearing. Zelva added, if the signal is ignored, then the structure will activate. Activate how? Someone asked. Not as a weapon, she said. As a purifier. Scene. Structure activation begins suddenly. Across the capital, black towers began rising from the ground. The same metal from the mining zone. Smooth, tall, and silent. People gathered in fear. Military sent drones, but the drones lost power as soon as they approached. On the tower surface, glowing alien runes began to appear. None matched any known language. From the sky, the orbiting structure sent one small beam down. The beam didn't destroy. It scanned. Then the tower responded with a deep, mechanical hum. Velos watched on screen. It's not here to destroy. It's here to judge. Scene. Rokar's breakdown. Rokar stared out the window. He had ordered the humans' capture. He had ignored the scientists' warnings. He had demanded the execution. And now his world was falling apart. He whispered, what have I done? Velos stood beside him. You let pride speak louder than truth, he said. Scene. The human's truth. That evening, the man was moved back to his original holding room. Velos visited him alone. You're not here to kill us, are you? He asked. The man shook his head. I don't need to. You're doing that yourselves, Velos asked. What is Echo? The man looked up, serious. Echo is not a thing. It's a judgment system made by a lost race. It listens to signals of war, of violence. When enough blood is spilled, it comes to clean the stain, Velos whispered. Then we were already marked? The man nodded. Centuries ago, you just didn't know. Scene. The first evacuation panic broke out in outer cities. Some people tried to flee off-world, but the orbital shadow jammed all space traffic. Escape pods exploded mid-air. Ships refused to launch. A child in Sector 3 vanished on live camera. 1 second he was there, next second, gone. Only his shadow remained. People screamed. Priests prayed. The sky grew darker, even though it was still day. The countdown reached 19 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds. Scene. Final appeal. Velos begged the council. Let him speak publicly. Let him warn everyone. At least give the people a chance to understand. Rokar agreed this time. He should have been heard from the start. They activated a planet-wide broadcast. The man was taken to the communication chamber. He stood in front of the microphone. His voice was calm. People of Harkin, I am not your enemy. I came with no weapon, because I am not here to fight. I am here because your world has been marked. Not by me, by what you have done to others. The machine in the sky, Echo, heard your wars, your silence, your cruelty. It came to erase your mistakes. I was sent as a warning. I told your leaders to turn back. They did not listen. Now only one path remains. Not all of you will survive. But those who listen may be spared. Cliffhanger ending. After the broadcast, the man was silent. He walked back to his cell. Velos asked, "What now?" The man answered, "Now, the sorting begins." In the sky, the structure opened slowly like an eye dot. It looked down. And the next group of people simply disappeared. No scream, no sound, no trace. Only a whisper echoed through the wind. First disappearance complete. 17 remaining. The countdown kept ticking. 18 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds. Opening scene. After the broadcast, the entire planet had heard the human's voice. Some laughed, some cried, some believed. But the disappearances continued. Whole buildings empty in seconds. Families torn apart. Cities growing quiet. The countdown kept ticking. 18 hours 45 minutes and 0 seconds, 18 hours 44 minutes and 59 seconds. In the council tower, Velos turned to Rokar. "We don't have time." If he spoke the truth, there's something buried on this world that triggered all of this. Something Echo heard. We need to find it. Rokar nodded. Then let's go underground. Scene. Into the mining zone of Velos, Zelva, and a small team traveled to the far desert, where the mining incident was first reported months ago. No workers were there, now. Just silence. And a black structure. Half buried in stone, smooth, cold, unnatural. The closer they walked, the more their equipment failed, one by one. Drones, flashlights, even the temperature readers. Zelva touched the surface of the strange object. It felt alive. "This is not just metal," she said. "It's listening." Suddenly, a panel on the ground cracked open beneath their feet. Velos fell in. Scene. The underground vault. Velos landed in a dark chamber, alive, but dazed. The walls around him glowed softly. Strange lines, runes moved like liquid across the metal. He stood up and looked around. This wasn't a mine. It was a vault. In the center stood a massive cylinder, floating in the air. Inside it, frozen bodies, alien species. Humans too, preserved, as if waiting. Then a voice echoed, not from outside, but inside his mind. Memory storage confirmed. Civilizations archived. Judgment cycle active. Velos gasped. This place wasn't a weapon. It was a record. Scene. Revelation from the past. Back at the surface, Zelva opened her tablet. It still worked, barely. She decoded the runes from the structure. A phrase repeated over and over. Echo hears blood. Echo saves knowledge. Echo removes war. She turned to Rokar. It doesn't just destroy. It collects. Before the cleansing, it saves the knowledge of a species. Like a museum for lost worlds. Rokar whispered, "So we're about to become history?" Zelva nodded. Scene. Velos learns the truth, still inside the underground vault. Velos touched the floating cylinder. It responded. A hologram formed around him. Ancient wars. Planets burning, species fighting. One thing was common in all the visions. Weapons of mass destruction. Then he saw a Kon. Saw the moment years ago when they tested a banned bomb over a moon full of peaceful creatures. No trial. No warning. Just silence after. And Echo had heard it. Velos fell to his knees. We brought this on ourselves. Scene. Countdown reaches midpoint. The countdown ticked. 12 o'clock. Oh, a deep vibration ran across the planet. Oceans shook. Trees bent. The sky flickered. People began to scream again. Echo had opened its second chamber in orbit. Beam of blue light moved across the sky like a scanner. Wherever it passed, empty streets. Silent vehicles, dust floating. Every place scanned was marked, glowing. Lines formed under the ground in cities. A message written across the planet. Prepare for removal. Scene. Confrontation with the human. Rokar entered the chamber again. This time without guards. The man stood, hands behind his back, staring up at the ceiling. Rokar said nothing for a moment. Then quietly, "What happens at the end of the countdown?" The man turned. "Your world forgets itself." Rokar asked, "Is there a way to stop it?" The man replied, "There was, but not anymore. You asked for fire." Fire answered. Rokar dropped his weapon. "Then what can we do?" The man said, "Listen, learn, and maybe ask for forgiveness." Seeing Zelva's last theory back at the lab, Zelva had one final idea. If Echo is here to judge based on violence, maybe proof of peace can delay the cleansing. She proposed broadcasting every act of kindness from Harkin's past. Diplomacy, rescue, shared knowledge. Velos agreed. "We must show Echo we are more than our weapons." They sent the signal across the sky. Echo paused. For 5 minutes, the sky was quiet. But then, a reply came. "Peace noted. Damage exceeded. Judgment continues." Scene. A choice for the few. Echo began sending out selection codes. Some people, very few, received a strange mark on their skin. A circle of light. Velos received it. So did Zelva, but Rokar did not. The man explained, "Echo saves those it believes can help restart what was lost, not by power, by wisdom." Rokar, defeated, whispered, "Then I deserve what comes." The man walked to him. "Everyone makes mistakes, but Echo only listens to those who admit them." Rokar looked at the mark slowly beginning to form on his hand. Scene, the vault. Opens again. Velos and Zelva return to the underground vault. The floating cylinder now displayed a new hologram. Earth, destroyed long ago, but inside the vault. They saw her survivors, archived, waiting. Velos touched one pod. It opened slowly. The person inside blinked, alive, but lost. Zelva gasped. They weren't killed. They were saved. Velos understood. This isn't extinction. It's reset. Echo doesn't hate. It collects and starts again. Cliffhanger ending. The human's final message in the final hour. The man stood outside, watching the sky. Echo now covered half the planet. The air felt heavy. Time felt slow. He turned to Velos. "My part is over. Yours begins now." Velos asked, "Who are you really?" The man finally answered, "I am the last voice of a dead world, and maybe the first word of a new one." Suddenly his body glowed, then vanished into light. No pain. Just peace. Velos looked up at the sky. The countdown reached 9:59. 59. Opening scene. The new sky. The sky over Harkin was no longer blue. It burned with slow-moving flames, red, gold, and black. But nothing was on fire. This was Echo's fire. Not flames of heat, flames of judgment. The countdown flashed across all digital screens. 9 hours 59 minutes and 58 seconds. 9 hours 59 minutes and 57 seconds. Across the cities, people stood frozen in fear. Streets were silent. Children hid in basements. Soldiers no longer marched. The warning was now real, and it had eyes. Seen, eyes of fire from Echo's structure in orbit. Hundreds of beams rained down like silent lightning. They didn't destroy. They looked. They watched. Beams of red light moved over buildings, scanning them, then shifting away. Sometimes a house vanished. Sometimes it remained. No reason. No logic. Zelva stared at one scan on the monitor. "There's no pattern," she whispered. "It's not targeting weapons. It's reading choices," Velos asked. "What do you mean?" "It sees memory. It judges behavior. It watches who someone really is." Velos looked at his reflection. "Then none of us are safe." Scene, saved by the mark in the lower city. Chaos broke out as people began searching for survivors with the glowing circle mark on their hands. Some saw it as a blessing, others as betrayal. Small groups began attacking the marked ones. In one neighborhood, a marked child was pulled from his home. A group of masked strangers screamed, "You were chosen, but not us." You're just a child. Before they could strike, the sky blinked. A beam came down. The attackers vanished in silence. The child remained untouched. The fire had judged again. Seen. Echo's voice that night. For the first time, Echo spoke in a voice everyone could hear, not in a language, but a feeling that entered their minds. This world was beautiful once. Then it forgot its own peace. You built power. You built fear. You buried your kindness to feed your anger. Now your final light will be chosen. The rest will sleep in silence. A new timer appeared on every screen. Phase 2 begins. 6 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds. Scene. Velus's mission. Velos called Zelva. We need to stop trying to escape. It's not about running anymore. It's about earning a future. Zelva asked, what do we do? Velos looked up at the sky. We tell Echo who we really are. We show what we can change. He broadcasted a new signal from the Capitol Tower. To the people of Harkin, this is not a fight we can win with weapons. This is a moment to prove we are not monsters. Save those you can. Protect what matters. Help Echo see we are more than the mistakes behind us. Scene, a light in the dark in Sector 9. A family was trapped under a fallen transport ship. No military came. No medics, but a group of young strangers, former gang members, ran to help. They lifted metal with their bare hands, pulled children out, gave their water. One boy looked at his shaking hand. A mark of light began forming slowly on his skin. He didn't smile. He just whispered, I understand now. Scene, Rokar's redemption. Rokar sat alone in the old war command room. He watched reports. People saving each other, refusing to run, choosing kindness even with time running out. He saw a girl refusing to take her own food, giving it to a stranger. He saw a soldier refusing orders to fire on crowds. He saw himself years ago when he was like them. Rokar stood up. He removed his armor. He walked out of the base, into the streets, no weapon in hand. Scene. The eye looks again. The beams returned. Brighter now. They moved slower. They were watching individual moments. In one city, an old woman offered shelter to 6 strangers. She looked up. The fire blinked above her. And left. She had passed. Zelva's voice crackled through the coms. It's choosing. Person by person. Moment by moment. Velos whispered. It's not a judgment of death. It's a test of soul. Scene, Echo's flame comes down with 2 hours left. A new part of Echo opened. A long, thin blade of light began lowering toward the planet's core. This was the final flame, not of fire, but of memory erasure. Whatever it touched, history, cities, technology, would be wiped from time. As if it never existed, Velos screamed into the broadcast system. If you hear this, do something good. Help someone. Say sorry. Be brave. Show Echo we are not shadows. Scene, the return of the man just before the flame reached the Capitol Tower. A new signal appeared. A shape formed in the flame. A figure. It was him, the human. He had returned. Glowing now. Not as a man but as a guide. His body flickered with light. His voice was calm. You still have time. Not much, but enough. Echo is not cruel. It is tired. Tired of watching civilizations destroy themselves. You can end the flame. Not with power, but with one last proof. Velos asked, what proof? The man answered, that you can love something more than yourselves. Seen the decision in the final 10 minutes. A ship prepared to launch. It carried all the last marked survivors. Scientists, children, artists, thinkers. But the engines failed. People panicked. Rokar arrived. Alone. He pushed past the crowd and entered the reactor manually. He activated it by hand, knowing it would trap him inside. The ship launched. Rokar smiled as flames rose around him. His mark began to glow fully, then vanished. He had chosen them over himself. Climax, the fire stops as the ship escaped the atmosphere. The echo flame paused mid-air. Then it retracted. The beams vanished. The sky returned to black, and the timer froze at 001. Then shut off. Silence. Then a deep voice in the minds of everyone. Judgment received. Enough light remains. Removal cancelled. Restoration begins. Scene, Echo leaves. The giant structure slowly rose from orbit and faded into the stars. No sound. No weapon fired. It had finished its test. The skies cleared. Oceans calmed. Forests breathed again. Across Harken, people looked at one another, alive, confused, grateful. Velos collapsed to his knees. Zelva cried for the first time in years. Man was gone. His light faded with the retreat of Echo. Final scene. A new beginning years later. A memorial stands in the capital. Not of war, but of peace. A statue of Rokar, of the nameless human, of those who vanished, and those who chose light. Velos, older now, stands before a group of children. He tells them the story, not of destruction, but of a world that was almost lost, and saved itself at the last second. Opening scene, silence and sunrise. The sun rose over. Harkon. No alarms. No red skies. No countdowns. Just golden light over quiet fields, broken cities, and silent towers. Velos opened his eyes inside the Capitol dome. He had fallen asleep in his chair. The screen showed nothing now, only one word: restored. For the first time in years there was peace. Scene, Echo is gone, but not forgotten. Up in orbit, there was nothing. No ship, no shadow. Echo had left, but it had changed. Harken forever. It had burned into people's memories the truth. They had been judged, and barely survived. Every citizen remembered the beam of light, the voice in their mind, and the fear of losing everything. But now, that fear had become something new. Kalon gratitude. Scene, Rokar's name returns in the Capitol Square. A tall statue of Rokar stood. The man once feared, once hated, had become a symbol. A soldier who gave up war to save others. At the statue's base were fresh flowers, notes, and pictures of survivors. Zelva placed her hand on the metal. "He didn't just save the ship," she whispered. "He saved our chance to be better." Velos nodded beside her. "He passed the test we almost failed." Scene, Children of Light. The marked children, those chosen by Echo, now lived together in a peaceful valley. They were called the Children of Light. No longer feared. No longer attacked. They were being taught to become leaders, healers, protectors. Velos visited them often. One small boy walked up to him and said, "Will the fire ever come back?" Velos knelt down and replied, "Only if we forget what we learned." Scene, the School of Silence. Zelva opened the first school of silence, a place where history wasn't just told, it was felt. People could walk through holograms of the judgment, see what they had done, hear the human's voice again, understand Echo's purpose. That one lesson stood above all. Peace is not the absence of war. It is the choice to protect life, even when no one is watching. Scene, Echo's gift. Weeks after Echo left, a strange cube appeared in the desert. No heat, no radiation. Inside, holograms of lost civilizations played automatically. Worlds that were judged before, species wiped out, but remembered. The people of Harken realized Echo had left them a library. Not as a warning, but as a gift. "Learn from them," the message said, "so you do not become them." Scene, Velos writes the truth. Velos wrote a book called The Flame That Watched. It told the true story of the man with no weapon. The warnings ignored. The fire that judged. And the people who turned toward the light just in time. The book was translated into every known language, even shared with alien allies once afraid of Harkon. And for the first time, Harken was not feared. It was respected. Scene, the vault opens again years later. The underground vault opened once more. Scientists found new chambers filled with more preserved DNA, languages, symbols from races long extinct. The vault was still active. But now, it was shared. No longer hidden. No longer secret. A sign was placed outside. This is what comes when kindness is lost. Enter only with humility. Seen legacy of the human, they never found his name. The human who arrived in chains, with only a warning on his chest. His cell remained empty, but his memory lived in every heart. A statue stood in the city's center, not with a sword or armor, but simply a man. With open hands, beneath it were 3 words, carved in stone. He warned us. Seen generations later, years passed. Harken changed. No more military parades. No more planet-wide drills. Instead, days of peace were celebrated, days of rescue, rebuilding, and remembrance. The children of light grew up. They became leaders. Scientists, poets, and explorers. One of them, Mira, became the first speaker to another alien world, carrying the echo story to new species, telling them, "You will not be judged by what you build. You will be judged by what you protect." Final. Scene, a new echo in deep space, somewhere beyond what anyone had mapped. Echo floated quietly. It did not sleep. It watched. It listened. And then, a small light blinked on its surface. A signal. A warning. From a distant world filled with noise. War. Fear. Echo turned slowly toward it. But before it moved, a new signal arrived, this time. From Harken, a message, simple and full of hope. "We are still learning. We are still bettering. Please, wait." Echo paused. The light turned blue, and the fire did not come. Opening scene, years before Harken. Far from Harken, on a ruined blue planet, one man stood alone in the ashes of his home. Earth was gone. Not by bombs or war, not by aliens, not by Echo. It was lost because no one listened. The man had once been a soldier, then a scientist, then a survivor. He had no name left, no family, no orders, only a choice, to become a voice. And he chose to carry a warning across galaxies. Seen, his last journal entry before capture, personal log, entry number 900. "Today I step aboard the smuggler ship. They don't know who I am. That's good. I need them to bring me in. I heard about a planet called Harken. Big army, smart minds, loud weapons. No one tells them no, just like Earth, before it died. If I get there, I won't fight. I'll just speak. If they listen, they'll live. If not, I hope Echo hears me again." Scene, arrival on Harken. Didn't hide. He didn't resist. He stepped off the ship wearing only plain clothes and a message written in glowing letters across his chest. "You are being watched." He said nothing at first. The guards beat him. He stayed quiet. The generals asked who sent him. He just looked up at the sky. Scene, the first echo beam. The day after he arrived, something strange happened. A distant satellite blinked, blue light. Then red. Echo had noticed him, because it always did. The man knew. He had been touched by it once, not destroyed, but changed. Long ago on a dying Earth, when warships launched, Echo came down. It didn't kill him. It spared him. Scene, journal entry number 844, when he first met Echo. Log entry number 844. Echo came during the last hour of Earth's fall. The sky turned white. The ocean stopped moving. It hovered over the cities and read our sins like open books. I stood under its light, ready to die, but it didn't kill me. A voice entered my head. "You saw, you warned, you acted. That is enough." Then I woke up days later, the only one left alive. And I knew my job wasn't to survive. It was to tell others. Scene on Harken. Before the countdown began, the man sat in his cell. Guards mocked him. Screens showed riots, weapons, broken peace treaties. He closed his eyes. Journal entry Number 904. They are worse than Earth in some ways, but better too. I saw a girl help a bird with a broken wing. I saw a teacher feed a child before himself. That's enough light. Echo always looks for the light. He waited. He didn't escape, didn't run. He wanted Echo to see everything, to test the world honestly. Scene. Why he chose silence. Velos once asked him, "Why didn't you just tell us everything from the beginning?" He replied, "If I gave you the answers, they wouldn't be yours. You'd act out of fear, not truth." And Echo listens to the truth, not fear. That's why he stood calm through torture. That's why he never lifted a hand, because he believed in choice. Scene. The warning was not just for Harkin journal entry. #910. I've left recordings hidden. On satellites, in vaults. Because Harkin will not be the last. Echo moved through space like wind. Somewhere out there, another world is building its end. And maybe my words will reach them before Echo does. One such recording was found years later, on a small moon. It had only 4 words. Echo sees. You choose. Scene. Echo's gift to him back on Earth. When Echo passed judgment and saved him, it didn't just leave him alive. It gave him something more. A kind of awareness. A link to its presence. He could feel when Echo listened. Couldn't control it, but he could sense the moment a world was being watched. He was Echo's last whisper, not its soldier, not its servant. Its witness. Scene. After Echo left Harkin, when his body vanished in the final light, many thought he died, but some believe he became part of Echo, or that he walks the edge of galaxies, a traveler with no home, searching for fire before it grows too bright. Final journal entry, never found. Personal log. Final entry. If you're reading this, your world has a chance. That means you're asking the right questions. Don't look for me. I am only the echo of your better self. Ask yourself, what will you protect when no one is watching? What will you give when no one is asking? That's all Echo wants to know. That's all I ever wanted to tell you. Ending scene. In another world, young alien boy looks up at the stars. His city is full of weapons, anger, division. One night, a strange pod crashes into a desert. Inside it, a small black cube. He touches it. A voice speaks. You are being watched. His eyes widen. His story has just begun. Opening scene. A dying civilization before Echo, before the warning, before the silence. There was a planet named Solari-7. A place of knowledge, peace, power. Its people mastered energy, healed death, and tamed stars. They built floating cities and quiet minds, but over time, they became afraid of losing what they built, afraid of others. So they built Echo, not a weapon, not a defense system, but something far more dangerous. A mirror. Scene. The Council of Final Thought. The greatest thinkers of Solari-7 gathered in a circle of starlight. They spoke without speaking, their minds linked in one thought. We will die. Not from invasion, but from ourselves. They didn't want a savior. They didn't want a destroyer. They wanted something honest, out of a being that could look at a civilization and answer one question: are you worthy of continuing? Scene. The Echo Project begins. The project took 300 years. Billions of minds fed into one massive construct. It would not speak. It would observe. It would not attack. It would test. And it would remember every world it saw. Every pattern. Every failure. Every spark of hope. Scene. The heart of Echo. At the center of Echo was not a computer, but a question, encoded deep inside its core. What survives when all else falls? Echo had no emotions, no hate, no hunger. But it had memory. And a simple task: look, watch, judge. Scene. The first test. Echo's first target was its creators, Solari-7. The Council wanted to test it on themselves. They believed they would pass. Echo hovered above the planet in silence for 7 days. It watched children playing, markets fighting, leaders lying, mothers weeping. On the 8th day, Echo spoke. Light insufficient. A beam fired. Solari 7 was wiped from space. No fire, no rubble. Only silence. Scene. Echo begins its journey, now alone. Echo drifted across galaxies. No command. No master, just its code. Observe, record, judge. It never stopped, never slept. Over time, civilizations gave it many names. The silent god, the final witness, the fire that sees, the mirror of ends, the quiet one. But to itself, it was simply Echo. Scene. What Echo looks for, Echo doesn't test technology. It doesn't care about war. It looks for one thing only: compassion without reward. A being who helps when no one is watching. Child who gives when they have nothing left. A soldier who surrenders to protect others. Even one act can be enough to delay the fire, but failure comes quickly. Scene. The Lost Worlds. Echo's records show hundreds of failed worlds. A water world where greed drowned every shore. A machine world that turned its creators to fuel. A sky world that ignored the cries of its weakest. All gone. Not erased by Echo. But erased by themselves. Echo only held up the mirror. Scene. A new signal. Then one day, a signal reached Echo. From a small blue world, full of life. But on the edge of destruction. Earth. Echo arrived. Quiet, unseen. But it found one human. One voice in the dark, still helping, still believing. And for the first time, Echo hesitated. It spared him. He became the witness. Scene. Why Echo judges slowly. Echo does not destroy fast. It gives time. It watches long, because destruction is easy, but understanding takes patience. It waits for someone to choose the light. Scene. Harken was not the last. Echo's files show 9003 extinct civilizations, 19 spared, 1 currently under observation, and hundreds still unknown. Some will see the fire, others may see the mirror in time. Final. Scene. Echo's core, reactive. A tenside Echo. A pulse begins. It replays the sounds of laughter, kindness, sacrifice. From Earth, from Harken, from one lost planet. A soft light glows in its center, not red, but gold. And the voice of Echo, deep and quiet, speaks again. Not all light is lost. I will keep watching. I will keep hoping. Echo turns toward another star system. Another world. Another chance.